so much. And I would also like to welcome everybody who is live with us right now, and also everybody who is going to listen back to this recording. Please capture your questions as we move along. There will be time at the end to ask questions. So we are here to talk today about emotional well-being in your teams, on your projects, and also for you personally, because as with anything, mostly, it really is about you looking inwards first and understand what does emotional well-being look like for yourself, so that you can better create that for your teams. And emotional well-being is something that is very, very important, not least at the moment. It has been growing in importance, and now, of course, with this year's events, it is even more important. But even these year's events aside, consider the environment in which we operate. We are living in a time now with unprecedented amount of change. Look at the level of technological change. It is really unprecedented. By the time you finish a project, you no longer have the same technology available as you did when you started the project. You have much more. So you need to change course as you move through your projects. We have projects that are global. We have team members who speak different languages, who have different cultures, who work in different time zones. We have an increased level of competition. And all of this means that we need to run faster and faster to deliver our projects. We have more and more pressure put upon us. And that's just on the work side. Then you may have your own pressures at home. And I think this year, with everything that's been going on, there would have been even more pressure on some people. So well-being is, becoming, as I said, even more important than it has ever been before. And I believe that this will continue because our pace will continue, the pressures on our teams will continue, the pressures to be efficient and effective and competitive and to turn around projects quicker will continue, etc., etc. And I'm sure that you know what it feels like. So it is with that backdrop that we need to look at what we can do to improve our emotional well-being. And I think also, before we move on, it's important to understand what really happens to us physiologically when we operate in this kind of environment. Because roughly speaking, we have, let's say, 3 parts of the brain. You have the frontal part, which is your prefrontal cortex. This is where your logic sits. And on a good day, this is where you make rational decisions, you think your creative thoughts, you connect well with others, you consider your actions before you do something. This is where we would like you to operate most of the time. This is where you would like your team members to be most of the time, from that frontal part of the brain. Then we have the second part of the brain, which is really in the middle. Roughly speaking, this is where your fight, flight, or freeze response sits. So whenever you get stressed or your team members get stressed because there's change happening, because there is uncertainty in our environment, it could be anything that triggers us to feel stressed. Then we move away from the frontal part of our brain and we go into that middle part. We panic. We may have a minor panic. And that means that we're no longer thinking creatively and rationally about things. And then we have the last part of the brain, the third part, which is right at the bottom of your brain, where your neck ends really. And this is the most ancient part of our brain, the reptilian brain, the brainstem, where you do your automatic processes such as breathing and the heartbeat. So the idea of well-being is that when we are in well-being, when we feel good, when we operate from our best place, we are not stressed. We are thinking our most creative thoughts, we are able to be in flow, and we are able to connect well with others. So this is really why well-being matters so much. Okay, I would like you to consider for a moment what your level of well-being is at the moment. And we can distinguish here between physical well-being and emotional well-being, but for the time, and they're often connected, because if you don't feel well physically, you might not feel so well emotionally either. But right now, let's mostly consider your emotional well-being. We can also distinguish between your work situation and your home situation. So during this year, some people might have felt very well at home, but not at work, or vice versa. Often it's related, but not necessarily. So at the moment, consider, what is your level of well-being at work? What is what is it like? And if you would like to share in the chat box, please feel free to do that. For me personally, I can tell you that I've been kind of okay this year. I know that some people have really, really struggled. They may have been down in, even beyond struggling, maybe in crisis. I have been in a situation where I have, as an independent project leadership coach and trainer and consultant, I haven't had much work to do this year. I've had a lot less to do, but it's actually been a bit of a blessing in disguise for me, because I've been so busy the previous years that I quite fancied a bit of a break, to be honest, and it's been really good. So emotional well-being, as we will see, is also about seizing the opportunities and seeing the opportunities when change happens. Okay, we have Jeff saying that he's been thriving at the moment. So please continue to share in the chat box. It's interesting for participants to read what others are writing also. I would also like you to think of a time, perhaps in the past, perhaps it's been right now, where you have been on a project or in a situation where you were really struggling, or perhaps even in crisis. And I know from myself, I can give you a situation, an example, and this goes back to when I first moved to London just about 20 years ago now. And I was very junior in project management at the time. And I was working on one of the biggest projects, IT projects in Europe. We had 200 developers on it. And I was managing a small piece of this project, but I was working with a team of much more experienced people. And 3 of them who were running the part of the project that I was on, they were all from South Africa, and they spoke Afrikaans. And the senior project manager would address the others who I sat next to in Afrikaans. And I don't speak Afrikaans, I'm actually Danish, but you know, we live and work in London. So I felt that it was really a way of excluding me. It might have not been deliberate, but the effect was that I felt excluded. I didn't understand, well, because I didn't understand that language. I didn't pick up all of that project information that was being circulated. So when we think...
Hi there, I hope you enjoyed that last clip. My name is Michael Maludis, and if you'd like to watch the full 60 minutes of that last webcast, while also gaining complete unlimited access to our entire library of IT learning, simply visit our subscribe page at greatpro.org/subscribe. Unlimited annual access is $199 per year, but if you use the coupon code LEARN2EARN, you can drop that membership fee to just $149. That's less than $13 per month for unlimited access to over 1,000 hours of on-demand career development, covering the entire spectrum of IT management best practices, including business analysis and requirements, software development, quality and testing, risk management, process improvement, project management, and even digital transformation. But your membership doesn't just give you unlimited access to our vast learning library. You also get free access to our mobile app, as well as direct access to our network of over 300 of the world's leading IT consultants, all of whom are dedicated to putting practical knowledge at your fingertips so that you can learn more and earn more. I hope you will join me in becoming a member of the Great IT Professional and advancing your career with us. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button above so that you get notified whenever we publish new free webcasts each week of the year. Thank you for your time and best wishes for your continued success.